Hi, I'm Jason Inman.
And I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
And we just ran through the Speed Force to give you a review and recap of The Flash Season 3, Episode 2, Paradox. And we're going to be talking about every part of Episode 2, so there will be spoilers. So the episode starts with Barry talking to Felicity, revealing the changes of Flashpoint. Now, I really like that they brought in the Arrow component of the universe here. What did you think about Felicity and the Flash, Felicity and Barry? Because I always liked their relationships from previous seasons, so I was very happy to see that she was the one that he was like, the timeline's different.
So I definitely ship Flashlicity. Like, if I was gonna see...
Felicity.
If I was gonna see... That sounds so ridiculous.
Fairy.
Oh, I ship Fairy. If I was gonna see any relationship come to fruition, this is one of the ones that I really like. I like the way it was established in Arrow. I like the way it's carried on. I know it's never gonna happen. But the cool thing about seeing this is that we know from previous interviews with some of the show's creators that Arrow is going to be affected by the Flashpoint. And this to me is just, it's restating that is gonna happen, and it's restating that, yeah, this is a shared universe. And I really like seeing Emily Bett Rickards, so it was nice to have her around for the episode.
Next, we flash back and we see the Flash taking apart the motorcycle bike on a jewel thief, which I actually thought was really cool. And then we get to see a quick little weird little Star Lab scene where everybody is different. Now, it's a little bit of a downer at the very beginning because Cisco's not funny. He's very quiet. Barry tries to make a joke, and Joe and Iris are just like, Barry, get out of our faces.
Joe is super sad.
Everybody was depressed in this episode.
Yeah.
No, I like that because usually we like to call them the Scooby Gang, which actually a term from Scooby-Doo, also a term from the characters of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But it's interesting to see the quote-unquote Scooby Gang, the Flash Gang, kind of be depressed and quiet. What did you think about this?
It's interesting the way that Earth 2 scenes are interesting. You get to see familiar characters acting differently. I think for the most part, everybody did a really good job. And it's just interesting to delve into different parts of the characters' personalities you don't get to see a lot.
We also get to meet the new CSI assistant, Julian Albert, played by Draco Malfoy. Now, he is, I thought he did a good job in this scene.
Tom Felton,
thank you. I like to call him Draco Malfoy.
Well done. We call Draco Malfoy.
He was very strong in this scene. He clearly does not like Barry at all. Thinks Barry's a nincompoop. But also, we'll talk about it a little bit. It seems like he hates Barry a little bit too much, and we're going to cover that a little bit later in this video, why we think that is.
Yeah. He really hates Barry.
Some of the changes in the timeline revealed that Dante, Cisco's brother, is dead. But also, we learned in the Felicity scenes when Barry checks the Arrow timeline that John Diggle has a son, and the son is named John Diggle Jr., which to Legend of Tomorrow fans in Season 1, you remember in the future timeline of Arrow, John Diggle's son was John Diggle Jr. He became Connor Hawke, named himself Connor Hawke, and became the second Green Arrow. John Diggle Jr., now in the timeline, confirmed, no longer in the alternate. So the Legends of Tomorrow, that's a big deal. One, also, what happened to baby Sarah? And also, John Diggle Jr. is in this timeline, so that future timeline that the Legends corrected could still happen.
Very cool. I'm so excited that John Diggle Jr. is like now in the main timeline existing. I am thinking what's going to happen with Baby Sarah, because Baby Sarah is a big part of the Arrow and the Diggle mythos. I'm thinking whatever event is going to be the 4-part crossover, I think she's either going to come back during that, or I think we're going to have another scene where maybe they have another child down the line and we're going to see Baby Sarah again. I don't think that detail's gone forever.
Next, Rival meets Dr. Alchemy for the very first time, and then Barry does this really cute scene where he tries to convince Joe and Iris to have dinner back and forth. He's zipping back and forth and asking about recipes and all kinds of stuff. Actually, what I think is one of the funniest scenes of The Flash that I've seen in a very long time. Then we go to a very awkward dinner where Barry suggests that the whole team goes on a Flash retreat, when then somehow the Claris Rival shows up in the full costume, exactly like Flashpoint. And again, he looks exactly like Episode 1 because Dr. Alchemy gave him all the powers. Kind of similar to the same climax that we had in the first episode, right? They kind of run and fight at each other. But I will say this, that I think this is an interesting thing. And we'll also talk about what happened to him at the end of the episode very quickly. I like that Rival is a physical representation of his screw-ups. I like that. We have a physical representation, which sort of becomes Dr. Alchemy at the same time, of Barry's mistakes. And I think there's something very powerful in the writing about that.
Interesting.
I actually really enjoyed a lot of the writing in this episode because I thought that I would have never thought to make a physical manifestation of a timeline screw-up.
It's a great way to continue the idea of the time remnant that we saw executed at the end of last season.
Although I think this is executed way better.
I was going to say that. I think they took that idea and they've perfected it with Edward Claris.
Of course, the Flash and the Rival fight, and of course the Rival gets away. We go back to Star Labs. We learn about all the husks that Edward Claris is leaving around. Iris confronts Barry, says, "Barry, what's going on?" And Barry gets so upset about Iris confronting him that he decides that, here's my solution. I'm gonna time travel again. And then he gets his ass knocked out, like the idiot he is, by Jay Garrick, the Jay Garrick of the multiverse.
Yes.
John Wesley Shipp back here again. One of the best scenes, I think, of the entire series, The Flash. Now, there were some cute Easter eggs in the scene. Of course, they go to a diner. Jay Garrick reveals that they are in 1998. You notice there's a TV playing Dawson's Creek. Who did John Wesley Shipp play on Dawson's Creek, Ashley?
Well, he played Dawson's daddy.
Daddy
just like
Dawson.
Playing Daddy Flash, sort
Yeah.
of.
And 1998 is also significant to Dawson's Creek because...
It is the year that Dawson's Creek premiered.
Yeah, so I bet you never thought The Flash was going to have some Dawson Creek's Easter eggs for
There
you, did
you
you?
go.
Now, I love this scene, and I love that Jay Garrick was like, time is like this coffee cup, and if you break this coffee cup, he vibrated it, of course, which I thought was cool.
Very cool.
But he said no matter how you try, you can never put that coffee cup back together again. Again, I thought this also, John Wesley Shipp, I thought was great in this scene.
He's usually kind of playing like goofy dad type,
is.
but he was very serious and very down to earth, and very Jay Garrick.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I felt we were finally watching comic book Jay Garrick.
The Jay Garrick we deserve.
Oh man, and also like, there's something so satisfying about him knocking Barry Allen out. Like, look, you can't time travel again, idiot. You know.
Yeah. I also like the fact that we're seeing Jay Garrick to Barry Allen in a mentor role, which is the role that he fulfills in the JSA. It was just really nice.
Also, the role that he fulfilled to two Flashes, not Barry Allen, Wally West and Bart Allen.
Yes, so good.
Barry then goes back to Star Labs and admits that he changed the timeline to everyone, which makes Cisco crack about the mirror universe. He tells them that he can't put it back. Kind of makes them all cry, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, oh, is the Flash kind of becoming a downer of a show? But then Cisco moves into another room. We learn that he's building a vibe suit, which leads us to the Rival showing up on the waterfront because we find out that he's at a wood mill. Dr. Alchemy is there. Flash is like, who the hell are you? And we learn that Dr. Alchemy is trying to help people achieve their true potential and to prepare the world. Okay, let's talk about this. Dr. Alchemy, I kind of think he's cool. He was spoiled in a couple trailers. I put a quick little snippet picture of him in our previous video because I knew that's who Dr. Alchemy was. He's trying to help people achieve their true potential, trying to help people prepare the world. Any thoughts on this?
It's very ominous because the things that you think about if you have to achieve your full potential in order to prepare for something, it sounds like a disaster. So does he know that? Is this timeline going to fold in on itself? Is there going to be an attack? Like, it's setting up a big event that's coming.
Does he know the 4-part crossover is coming?
Right. He's setting up something that's either going to happen at the midpoint finale or the series finale. But I also like that this is a really easy way to just sort of disperse metahuman abilities without having to like worry about the setup scene too much.
So it's interesting that every season of Flash so far, okay, so season 1, it was all the people from the particle accelerator.
Yeah.
Season 2, it was all the metas that Zoom was sending to Earth. This season is all of the people that Dr. Alchemy is giving powers to that had powers in the previous timeline. So, I don't know, it's kind of interesting that we have all these convenient supervillain setups for how people get superpowers.
Yeah, you can't just show up and be like, I'm fast.
Rival beats the crap out of the Flash until Cisco Ramon, dressed with his Vibe goggles and some Vibe gauntlets, and blasts the Rival. And then, of course, we can go back to Star Labs, and Cisco names him Dr. Alchemy instead of Alchemy. And we revealed that everyone that had powers, again, as we said before, is going to have, in Flashpoint, is going to have powers now. And then we get a long, long look of Barry looking at Wally, kind of being like, oh, hey, buddy, you gonna be my Kid Flash soon? Then Barry reveals that Caitlin is the least changed and reveals that Caitlin also now has her Killer Frost powers. At the very end, Julian confronts him, Barry, and says, like, how did you get my sample? Which leads to a very interesting scene. Okay, so in the episode, we saw that Barry took the sample very quickly.
He did his Flash thing.
Here's the question. Now Julian knows that something's wrong with Barry.
Yeah, he knows
and
something's
he's watching
up.
him. He hates him. Is Julian Dr. Alchemy?
110%.
I kind of agree.
Yes, because this is classic Arrow, Flash, Legends, Supergirl storytelling. They don't bury the lead that deep. During the first season, we're like, oh, Harrison Wells is definitely not Reverse Flash. That's too obvious. And then there it was. So I think they're doing a better job than we usually see at trying to bury the lead here. But there's so much hatred from Julian for no reason of Barry Allen for it not to be a correlation there. And also, they're doing the same thing that they did with Zoom in the previous season. They're disguising his voice using somebody else in his place when he has the mask on. So I think that it's just too much coincidence for him not to be.
I agree. I kind of think he's going to be Dr. Alchemy because as you made up the point, what does alchemy mean? What's another word for alchemist?
Wizard.
And what did he? Harry Potter. So there you go.
Yeah.
Very quickly in the end of the episode, Iris and Barry, of course, kiss and seem like all is normal. And then in prison, we see Alchemy kill the rival. So the rival is already dead. All right, now let's give a rating and some predictions for the next episode of The Flash. Now, Ashley, let's talk about this episode really quickly. Second episode of The Flash, Paradox. What did you think about the Paradox, and what rating would you give it?
So I actually really enjoyed this episode. I thought there was a lot of really interesting ideas that were done here. I thought we had some good character development. We had some good plot development. Everything you could want out of a TV show episode. So on a scale of 1 to 5 lightning bolts, I am going to give it a solid 4.
Nice.
It was a really good episode. And Draco Malfoy really, really impressed me.
You know, I agree with you. Even though this was a repeat of the climax that we had last week, I thought the changes to the timeline were enough that I enjoyed it. I thought that Rival was better in this episode.
Much better.
Than he was in the last episode. Dr. Alchemy, I think, is an interesting villain. Julian is an interesting setup, and he actually killed it in the acting. And I have to give it as well a 4 out of 5, simply for the fact that the Jay Garrick and Barry Allen scene in the diner is, I think, one of my favorite scenes of The Flash of all time. There was just something about the comic book magic there, the lightning that was alive, something electric in that. All right, now let's talk about some predictions that are to come. Ashley, do you have any predictions for the next or future episodes of The Flash based off this episode?
So based off this episode, Barry really likes to change the timeline and go backwards and forwards in time. This is something we've seen across several seasons now. I think we are going to see a return to the future timeline, and I think we're going to see grown-up John Diggle Jr. briefly in another episode. Again, that might be where the Arrow crossover territory is going to go, but I don't...
Or we might see that in Arrow.
Or we might see that in Arrow, but I don't think you drop that and then not address it again. And especially because that episode was so well received in the first place.
Yeah, totally.
What do you think is coming down the line?
Well, I have a prediction now for the 4-part crossover.
Ooh.
I think there are a lot of little Easter eggs left in this. Now, they've already revealed that the Dominators, the yellow guys, the red dot, are going to be the villains of the of the crossover. Dr. Alchemy, as I'm going to call him, he's not Alchemy, he's Dr. Alchemy.
Yes.
As Cisco said many times. He is preparing the world against the Dominators.
Ooh.
That is what he is doing. He is secretly a good guy, sort of, in a bad way. Because I think what you're going to find out is that in this new timeline, without people having the powers, there is no way to stop the Dominators. In the Flashpoint universe, lickety-split, they were done.
Yeah.
In this universe, there are not enough metahumans to take on the Dominators. Now, if you go back to the comic book event, The Invasion, written by Keith Giffen, in that storyline, the Dominators had a weapon called the Gene Bomb. The Gene Bomb that they dropped on Earth took away everyone's superpowers. Okay, and caused them to die. Actually, in the storyline, Martian Manhunter was key in stopping the Dominators.
That's right.
So I think that Dr. Alchemy, that there is going to be a point where we're going to take all these supervillains that are created by Dr. Alchemy and have to convince them to work with our team. I also think that Dr. Alchemy will sort of work with them as well. And an interesting point about it, it'll be interesting to see how the Legion of Doom and the Reverse Flash fight Dr. Alchemy. I think you'll see that Dr. Alchemy and the Reverse Flash are enemies.
I would love to see it, as opposed to them just being like bros.
No, I think Dr. Alchemy is sort of a good guy, and I think he knows the Dominators are coming because he saw the other timeline. I also think he's Draco Malfoy, but I think that's the setup for the crossover, is that he knows the Dominators are coming.
I would love that.
So make sure you don't zoom away like the Flash, and let us know down in the comments which of our theories that you think are right. And while you're down there, click the like button, click the subscribe button, because it helps us grow as a channel like the Flash that is going to be fighting the Dominators. Ha 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 ha. Make sure you follow Ashley on Twitter at Ashley V. Robinson. Follow me on Twitter at Jawiin, Jawiin. And if you like the stuff we do, feel free to click on that little Patreon button down there as I say my words wrong, because Dr. Alchemy is getting in my head. He's getting in my head, Ashley. I think my glowing powers from Flashpoint are coming. My glowing powers. Don't look at me. See you next week.